Hello and welcome to Enlightened Empaths, your community for the spiritually awakened, where we discuss, explore, and connect with fellow empaths, healers, intuitives, and seekers. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Enlightened Empaths. We hope you're having a brilliant and happy, wonderful week. We have Jenifer Edwards back on the show to discuss some astrological trends that are coming up for us in the next couple of months. I think, Jenifer, one thing I'm really excited about is that there are no planets in retrograde right now.
Yeah, it's very exciting. As a matter of fact, we've had all planets direct since February 3rd. So we're really enjoying this window of planting seeds, especially before the vernal equinox, which is coming on our doorstep, as a matter of fact. So for all of us, this is sort of a breath of fresh air to kind of move forward with things, especially after the energy that we had around December, the end of the year, into January with Venus retrograde. Venus made her yearly aspect, her yearly conjunction to Pluto. And while she was in retrograde, actually made that pass 3 times. So I'm sure all of us remember that energy that really brought in the values of what we want and need into our life. And then once we had that roadmap kind of unfold in front of us, we're gifted with this energy until Pluto goes retrograde on April 29th. So this massive window is really moving forward in authenticity of what we want to attract into our life.
So how has this period of all systems go been for you?
I have been able to harness this amazing Pisces energy that we're experiencing. We've had an ongoing stellium with Pisces. Pisces rules the 12th house of the zodiac, which is dreams, cycles, the subconscious. And so we're able to make dreams form into reality when we have a lot of energy here. So I have utilized this time to really make space for allowing myself to wander, to allow myself to move closer to things that light me up, not planning my days so much, but allowing myself to be attracted to what I want to do on a day-by-day basis. And the amount of inspiration and intuition that comes in on my next moves unfolds in front of me in that very process.
I love that. And I love the way you explain it. I feel like it's been a time where we can kind of finish up old projects too and think about the future. It has felt a little bit lighter, which is really good.
Yes. And especially when the sun is moving through Pisces, when you're looking at the astrological signs in terms of a life cycle, the astrological signs start in Aries. So that's our astrological new year, which is the beginning of the spring equinox. The sun moves into Aries. So during this period of time, we're making sense and processing from the last year and, releasing what we've outgrown and embracing and stepping into our new selves, our new ambitions, and our new projects as the sun moves into the first house of the zodiac, into Aries.
It's always fascinating how it correlates for people too, that we're all feeling this. There's been a huge shift in what people that I've brought this up a few times. It's like we have a foot where we've been and that doesn't quite fit and we're reaching out blindly. But now it seems like the light is getting a little brighter as far as, okay, here's your path. This is where we're going. Use this last little bit to clean up the residual stuff and start daydreaming again.
Oh, absolutely. And with all of this concentrated energy in Pisces, while the sun and Mercury move into Aries, this is going to give us a platform to be able to really take those dreams and make them a reality. And this is really what this all systems go, all planets direct period is all about, is making your dreams come true. And, as Disney as that sounds, it's really possible. The power of Pisces energy has to do with, having a dreamy concept. But then when we have a lot of our other planets and intellectual signs, we are looking at all the reasons why that can't manifest or that can't happen. But when we have a concentrated amount of energy in Pisces, those blocks don't exist. And then when we come right into Aries season, we're moving right into action. So it's from dreaming into action, which, sets the stage for some beautiful stuff coming down the pike. And, with Jupiter conjunct Neptune, which, by the way, we touched on the last time we all got together. The last time that happened was 1856. So this is a transit that happens every 165 years. Jupiter is a 12-year revolution around the sun. So Jupiter and Pisces meet every 12 years, which is a gift in itself because we have to wait for this to happen every 12 years. Now, Neptune is the modern day ruler of Pisces. We didn't discover Neptune until the 1800s. So Jupiter is the historical ruler of Sagittarius and Pisces. So the significance of these two planets that both rule Neptune being conjunct at 23 degrees Pisces, exact on April 12th, the windows between the 8th and the 16th. This is a spiritual attunement for the collective. So we're starting to see people becoming more interested. And what does this look like for someone who is really discovering their own gifts and trying to discuss this with people around them? Often, through our lives, there's been a lot of resistance around the things that we've been discovering in energy form. And this is why we have formed little groups so we can talk about it with each other. We're going to find that resistance is going to shift. And collectively, people are going to be more open to the deeper meaning of what's going on around us, of what the meaning of life is. And I believe that that's going to bring a spiritual unity, which we definitely need during these times, and open up people's perspective to why and how we create our reality and how energy is so important. So this particular conjunction that's going to be exact on the 12th, but the window is from the 8th to the 16th of April, wherever 23 degrees Pisces lands in your chart is the subject matter of illumination. So we have 12 houses in the zodiac wheel, and each house has a subject matter. So this will be fun for your listeners to take a peek into your birth chart and see what house it lands in. If it's in your 5th house, it's going to be all about creativity, invoking the muse, getting outside of yourself and having no roadblocks in accessing your creativity. If this were in your 10th house of career, this would be dreaming big and really going after what it is your heart wants to do in this lifetime and how you want to be seen, because this is also public accolades. If this was falling in your 12th house, for instance, this would be opening up your psychic window. The 12th house is one of the psychic houses of the zodiac. It's ruled by Pisces. This is the ability to, really get into your own subconscious, to open up to and access a higher divinatory energy. But for all of us as a collective, this is really going to make us be aware that there's something else going on in front of us rather than what's happening right tangibly in front of our eyes.
That's really important because I feel like so much is up in the air and confusing right now, and we don't know what's going on with world events. And you're making it sound like some of that might become pretty clear.
I think so. As the three of us had discussed a couple of years ago with the United States chart, in particular with Pluto conjunct Pluto, the Pluto return. And that's going to be active. It was exact in February, but that's going to be active until 2023. And the way to look at that energy is that Pluto brings things to the surface so we can address it and we can clear it away. So if we look at the underbelly of things going on, things are coming to light to be brought to the justice of truth. Pluto in the tarot is the judgment card. So if we think about it in those terms, it makes a lot of sense about what is going on right now. Now, with the astrological aspect of Jupiter conjunct Neptune, when we combine these two, it's almost like a massive awakening, not just for the United States, because Pluto return is happening in our chart, but this collective energy of Jupiter conjunct Neptune is having a stronger connection to the very thread that ties us together, without sounding corny, being love. Because in my philosophy, I believe that we are born from the very fabric of the universe, which I believe is the resonance or vibration of love. And as soon as we're born, we're vibrating from this energy. We have to learn fear. We have to learn protection. We have to learn anger. All of those things are not inherent in us. They're all protection mechanisms. And here we are in our lives when all we're trying to do is get back to that fabric that we were born into and vibrate from that original resonance, when really our lifespan is coming from that resonance figuring out and stripping away layers, and then ending and returning to that resonance of love and the fabric of the universe. So really our journeys, when we look at it, is trying to reconnect to our home, which is the vibration of love.
Oh, that's beautifully said. Thank you for explaining it that way. Have you looked at America's chart and compared it to during the revolutionary times when we had this Pluto situation last time and seen similarities?
Well, the similarity between, with Pluto being returned, Pluto is in the exact place that it was when we signed the Declaration of Independence. So the other planets aren't necessarily in the same place. However, we think of things as revolution, right? We think of standing up for our rights, standing up for what is fair. If we look back to that time in our history books, we are looking at the British government that basically took the settlers and working them to the bone for their own self-gain, right? We can also go back to when Pluto return happened in Rome's chart, which is when the fall of Rome happened, the fall of Caesar happened. And this has to do when the powers that be are creating something, perhaps, you can look at it in different ways, but everything gets filtered to the surface so we can see what is actually happening. And then we have the strength and fervitude to change on an individual level, on a nationwide level, and, ultimately on a global level. This has to do with, self-preservation of our spirit, our wills, but also keeping our government accountable to protect us and use the resources that we pay into the government to support us and make sure that all of this is above board.
Wait, if I'm understanding you right, the two times you mentioned that Pluto had its return was when the Roman Empire fell and when the British Empire started to have some dings in it. So
Yes.
could this possibly point to not American democracy falling, but maybe Russia getting some dings or something like that?
Well, Russia's chart is different than America's chart. But to look at the same energy in those two events between the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the fall of Rome, Rome fell because of the fact that that the government became completely overrun with people that wanted power hungry. And so when power and ego become involved and things are run from power and ego, we start to see the dissolution of power and ego, which is Pluto's main and primary purpose. Back to the two instances, if we look at the American Revolution versus the fall of Rome, the connection to the people, it was dissolved because the ego got too overwhelming, got too strong. And so I think that in terms of what can we expect in the United States with this Pluto return, I feel like this is a very positive aspect because we can get back to grassroots. We look at how much money is being thrown into our government from outside sources that really have nothing to do with politics, but somehow through fiduciary means are kind of calling the shots to the lawmakers. So I have a feeling that this will scale everything back to basic grassroots. As far as I can remember, the last time we had a grassroots president was Jimmy Carter. That was back in the 70s. And it's interesting because looking back at that time, we were having a gas crisis. We were having global economy issues. And it kind of is a little bit similar to that time. But what we can expect out of this energy is to really unite as a country, which I think is something that over the last 10 or 15 years has been lacking. And I feel that through COVID and, the great awakening of, our souls, basically, what do we want to do with our lives with the period of time in quarantine? I think that's really changed our perspective and purpose on how we want to leave this country to future generations.
I love that. Thank you for explaining that.
Another side shoot of this, aren't we also having similar energy to when the spiritualist movement was really coming into its own? People were opening up to spirit. People were having seances. Isn't there a connection there as well? Because I think everything that you're saying is so poignant, important, incredibly important. But there's also to counteract with that awakening of people are feeling that stronger connection with earth energy, with healing, with connection with spirit, with the other side. Do you feel that there's a similarity with that as well?
Absolutely. If we look at the time frame, the last time that Jupiter and Neptune were both occupying Pisces, it was the period of time between 1847 and 1862. And although there have been connections to spirit and awakenings, this was a Renaissance period of no boundaries, being opened to all possibilities through through spirituality, through art, through expression and music, tapping into the muse. With what we're going through right now, I think what we're finding is that we're moving out of the confines of waking up, going to work, and coming home and doing that, the rat race, and doing that over and over again, and finally waking up and saying, there has to be more to this life than this. There has to be a deeper meaning than this. There's no way that we've come to existence to just be on a schedule day in and day out without having a deeper meaning. And so these energies are really awakening people who have had their nose to the grindstone, to kind of alert them and open up to, oh my goodness, I am special. I have a higher purpose. I have a higher meaning, because we all do. So it's sort of a wake up call to honor, what it is that you're here for, and the powerful, potent process of going down that golden road of discovery of what that is.
That's incredible. It's hopeful.
Well, thank you.
Very hopeful.
I've been very excited. Pisces season is interesting for me because for all of us as a collective, it rules the 12th house. So it's the last sign of the zodiac before we're born into this cardinal fire sign of Aries, this spunky solar plexus energy. So when we have all this planetary activity in Pisces, we're having vivid dreams. We are kind of disconnected from our bodies. Grounding is important during that time. So I'm one of those people I have to work on grounding myself quite a bit. So this energy is amplified. So for all of us, it's almost as if over the last, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, especially since Mercury has been in Pisces, we're opening ourselves up and getting ready to really discover our own paths over the next 3 months, moving into one of the exciting things that's happening this summer that happens about every 19 years. The lunar node, the north node, it entered into Taurus in January, but it will be in conjunction with Uranus. And when we look at Uranus, Uranus is the higher vibration of Mercury. Mercury is our communication planet. It's our comprehension planet. Mercury is the winged messenger. So we always think of air when we think of Mercury. So it moves rather quickly. Now, if Uranus is the higher vibration of that, this is electricity. This is harnessing information from another place. This is like lightning. So we have flashes of brilliance. So when we have the lunar node conjunct Uranus, which will be exact on July 31st at 18 degrees Taurus, we will attract people and lessons in our lives that encourage us to detach from traditions, those traditions that keep us from growing. So we can see teachers coming in. We can see ideas coming in. The North Node is about our life's purpose. And wherever the North Node is located, subsequently, is where the eclipses are occurring. And so we are experiencing our eclipse season, which is coming up shortly. This year in 2022, our eclipse season will land in spring and fall. And the spring, we will have our very first partial solar eclipse in Taurus at 10 degrees Taurus. This will be 4 degrees away from Uranus. So we can expect a highly charged new beginning. So if anyone is looking for a date to launch something, if you're unable to launch anywhere between the Jupiter conjunct Neptune window, which is the 8th through the 16th of April, look at April 30th because the 10-degree solar eclipse is so close to Uranus that it's going to be supercharged. This will bring in events that will change the course of your direction. So it changes courses to kind of recalibrate us into our soul's purpose. There's always energy that takes us and redirects us back to our course plan, especially if we meander down a lesson or a cycle. We have the opportunity for the universe to kind of pick us up and put us right back on our path. This is also the opportunity to call in great amounts of manifestation. This is a wonderful manifestation moon. And then following that, on May 15th, we will be experiencing a total lunar eclipse in Scorpio at 25 degrees. This total lunar eclipse, for those of you who manifest with the moon, to begin with, the Scorpio full moon is the strongest manifestation moon of the year always. As a matter of fact, in Tibet, Mount Kailas, I believe I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but Mount Kailas in the Himalayan mountains is the crown chakra of the world. Okay. And every year for the Scorpio full moon, they have the Scorpio full moon meditation festival. Everybody comes there to meditate at the crown chakra of the world. Now take that energy and then make it a total lunar eclipse. This is going to be some immense energy to really change your dynamic, to propel you into all of the dreams that we've been coming up with over this period of all planets direct, and harness that energy in manifesting. And for those of you who are new to manifesting with the moon or have some apprehensions around it, this is a good one to really dip your toe in because the results are very fast. With this particular total lunar eclipse in Scorpio on May 15th, we really want to look back to the new moon in Scorpio on November 15th of 2021. Anything started at that time will come to fruition during the lunar eclipse in May. So we look at things starting, things transforming, a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. Endings aren't necessarily abrupt endings. There are course corrections. So we always know that we're divinely supported when we're leading in honesty. And that's really what the universe wants us to do, is strip away layers of inauthenticity and show up as our authentic selves. And so these energetic things that happen support us in doing that. As we move into this cycle, it's going to be about values vs true self. Taurus is very much values. Why do you value the things that you value? Do you value them for validation, or are these things that truly make you feel safe? And then Scorpio is looking at our wounding, our true inner self, that makes us reach out for validation. So when we're working with the Taurus Scorpio axis, by the time we're done with this in October 2023, it really gives us the opportunity to look at our shadow side, which in this case is Scorpio. That's where the South Node is located currently, and understanding perhaps maybe our trauma or things in our subconscious that make us create and want the things on the outside that really aren't that important. During this period of time, we're really going to be looking at, our resources, what's important to us, whether we are acting in a disposable society. We've seen trending where we're not using as much plastic, which I think is fantastic. I mean, look at the world stage where we have fuel prices through the roof. We're starting to look at alternative ways for energy, and because Taurus is an earth sign, and our attention is really looking at our renewable resources, and Uranus is also calling attention to that area as well.
Okay, so that sounds like a very powerful moon people need to focus on. That eclipse energy, don't they usually last for a couple of months? I know you said it'll manifest quickly, but will we have that energy with us for a while?
We will. That energy will carry us into the summer. As a matter of fact, through personal study, I have always found that, especially people who are empathic and very sensitive, we start to feel these eclipses. It's usually about a month window. So those of us right now, when this airs, can already feel a heighten in our senses. So we will be feeling this specifically about a month prior to a month after. So the window would be March 30th to June 15th would be the big window. But it gives us the energy for the next 6 months, where we will have our next set of eclipses later in the fall, in late October and November. And we will be experiencing a total lunar eclipse in Taurus in October. So that energy will be carried out throughout the summer. We feel it throughout the year, but it's the heaviest or the most potent, I should say, about a month prior to a month after.
Okay. And what can we expect in that lunar eclipse in Taurus in the fall?
The lunar eclipse in Taurus is going to be a culmination from the solar eclipse on April 30th. So the lunar eclipse in Taurus, whatever you have started around April 30th, like I said, it's going to be the solar eclipse will be conjunct Uranus. So there's a lot of powerful energy to make your dreams become real. And whatever is started during this time is going to sort of come to fruition in the fall. This is a wonderful time to really work on, what are your values? What are important to you? What makes you feel good? Why does it make you feel good? And really allowing yourself to do the things that move you rather than doing things that placate others, doing things that validate you to others. So this is really a coming into our own and receiving gifts in that very action.
This is a lot of energy coming in, Jen.
Yeah, when you have the axis of Taurus and Scorpio, Taurus is Earth. Taurus is a fixed sign. It doesn't like to move. And so these eclipses are making movement. So that can make a lot of people feel a little uneasy because we want to stick to the things that we've held closely, but maybe weren't working for us because they give us a sense of security that is a false sense of security. Scorpio is fixed. It's a fixed water sign. It's fixed emotions. So we're looking at grudges and judgments, things that we hold on to that no longer serve us and actually change the energy that we're putting out around us. So there's a tremendous healing around our internal emotional body and our external receiving body in this axis. Whenever we have eclipses in Taurus and Scorpio, there is movement towards release. And that's really hard for these signs to do, but it's liberating for them. And that's a part of their growth. Pluto rules Scorpio. Pluto is about death and rebirth, death of the ego, death of control, and rebirth, acceptance of the unknown. And so Taurus is very much about security. And why do we have security? Because if we have secure measures in place, we don't fear the unknown. So this is going to open us up quite a bit. I'm really excited for it.
I can tell. And so basically, this is a great time to clean up the residual things that have been holding us back from fully stepping into what we really feel we came here to do or would like to do. And this window of opportunity that's going to open up in April could be a time to really plant those seeds and start to manifest what we've been longing for potentially for quite a while.
Yes. And you'll find that this will make the process of living in the present a lot easier. So when we're living in the future, that hasn't happened yet. And of course, when we're in the past, that has already happened. So we're not creating our future. We create our future by living directly in the present. And so this energy that we're coming into over this window is really about not worrying whether or not what you're doing now is going to create something in the future, but rather really being in the joy of being in the now and in the creation of the now, which is very Taurian. We grow things in earth energy, but Taurus wants to be in the future and create security. So this energy that we're having with, Jupiter conjunct Neptune, the eclipses coming up, and especially the all planets direct until April 29th, it's really going to allow us to be in the present for creation. And it's going to be authentic creation, which I'm very, very excited about.
Okay. And can you walk us through the Mercury retrograde that's coming up in the summer, right? Is it May or June?
So this year we have 4 retrogrades, but what's really great about these retrogrades is that we're moving out of Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde happened during air signs, which are our communication signs. So that was pretty hard because it's our communication and our comprehension in our element of communication and comprehension. This year, Mercury retrograde will be moving back and forth between starting an air sign, but then moving into earth, and then at the end being an earth sign. So we're going to be moving from air, which is overthinking and communicating, into earth, which is looking at our security, finances, and our structure, meaning, how do we create security? The very first Mercury retrograde of the year we just experienced, that ended on February 3rd. We will go into our next Mercury retrograde on May 10th, and that'll move through until June 2nd. That'll be in Gemini and Taurus. The third one of the year will be September 9th, and that'll end on October 2nd. We'll feel that in Libra and Virgo. And then finally, the last one of the year, it squeaks in just by a hair. It starts on December 29th and it ends on January 18th, 2023. But this will be our first full retrograde in an Earth sign. Now, that's not the only planet to retrograde. Obviously, our outer planets retrograde up to 6 months during the course of the year, but Mars will be in retrograde this year as well. And this occurs every 2 years. Last time we experienced this was September of 2019. And Mars retrograde will occur from October 30th all the way through until January 12th of 2023. This will occur in the sign of Gemini. It'll start at 25 degrees and then resume in direct at 8 degrees Gemini. So for all of us out there who are looking to gain momentum and get things going, what I would suggest is use the energy now, the window before April 29th, to get those seeds planted, get things started. And then from the 29th until the solstice on the 21st of June, water those plants and water them through the summer. You'll start to get things, doors opening that are going to help certain things grow in your life that you plant seeds for. Have all of this sort of happening before we have Mars retrograde, because when Mars retrogrades, it's just really looking back at where we're applying our energy and why we're applying our energy there. So it's a redirect of energy application.
Well, I think that this is a whole lot to think about. I really do, but it also is very hopeful in the sense of people have been doing their personal work. We've been doing the work as a collective. Even though the world may be upside down right now, everything that you're sharing is saying this is a way for us to step more fully back into our own essence and strength and path, which again, I think is a precursor to coming together as societies. Is we have to get our own shit together before we can work together as a team.
Absolutely. It's the ripple effect.
Yeah.
It's the Mandela effect. Whenever we work on ourselves and deeply connect with our source, whatever our source may be, then that ripples out to the environment around us. We inspire people just in the very action of living in love, living in our purpose, and living in the present.
Are there any major things coming up this summer that we didn't hit upon?
I would say that, the yearly aspect of Sun opposing Pluto, Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. Pluto takes a long time to move with its retrogrades. So every year since 2008, we experience a Sun conjunction in Capricorn season. And then we experience a Sun opposition in Cancer season. So this is kind of a check-in of ego, of control. Like, what are we holding on to that we don't really need, And so we always find this to be a strong time of letting go, of letting things go and rising like the phoenix from the ash. So we always, the rebirth times, which can often be a struggle for some of us, we'll see that this summer around July 19th, which is the opposition of the Sun and Pluto. But this is whenever we work with Pluto energy and solar energy, this is an alchemizing time to really stand in your power, in your authenticity, and allow yourself to really rebuild structures that are solid. And that's why any kind of aspect of Pluto seems unnerving. But in the end, it's always correcting course for our highest and best.
That sounds a little challenging, though. It sounds like you're giving it a positive spin, but
Well, I mean, you could look at, so again in tarot, Pluto rules the judgment card. So when we're moving through in authenticity and honesty and purpose, then there's rewards for that, right? If we're moving in a way that's, say, a little undermining, or maybe perhaps in a way that is looking for power or control, these aspects kind of give us a little knock and kind of don't allow that behavior to continue. So it's always a personal reflection. I always say the people who sleep the best at night are the ones that are honest. Honesty of self and truth is always the way to be. These aspects that are really tough never really impact people along this path in a negative way, because it just enhances what they're here to do, if that makes sense. Their destiny, so to speak.
And the truth always comes out. That's why it's better just to always be honest, right?
The truth always comes out, and you can thank Pluto and Uranus for that. Cheers on that.
So are you most excited for this lunar eclipse in Scorpio?
Oh, I am so excited for this lunar eclipse in Scorpio. As a matter of fact, I am going to try in 2023, before these end, to make it to the crown chakra of the earth to meditate. That's how excited I am about this. I am a lunar Scorpio, so my natal moon is in Scorpio. And I always find this to be the time where I can really dig deep and write down all of my dreams and aspirations and create ceremony around that and let it go into the universe, and know that what is in alignment with myself will show up. And with this moon, we are so connected. The veils are so thin during the period of the moon in Scorpio and the sun in Scorpio. Soup to nuts, you can write down your order to the universe and burn that paper. Forget that it ever happened. And it's really funny, the gifts that start coming in.
That's exciting. And that sounds like an amazing goal to get there. So tell people where they can find you and some things that are coming up for you.
Sure. As always, you can find me on my website, which is thankgoddess.org. And I'm also on Patreon. I have a Patreon group called the Moon Lodge. The Patreon group is where you'll find astrology and tarot wisdom. And it also gives you access to our private community on our Facebook page. And that's where you'll find live daily practice, where we'll have movement. What's exciting is I've partnered up with Michelle Moody, who is a yoga practitioner, and we're now moving through the signs starting in Aries season, where we're moving through the solar plexus in the 30-day movement challenge to move along with the astrological energy. So we'll be moving through the signs, through movement, through chakras, as well as through houses. So if you've ever wanted to experience astrology slowly, like it's not coming at you really fast in time, this is a really good way to do that. That's on Patreon/Moon Lodge. And I've also launched my online instant download class of my beginner's astrology audio and handouts. And that can be found on my website as well as on Instagram at thankgoddess_. So it's thank_goddess in my link tree. You can find all of my services there. Star Medicine Podcast will be making a return this spring around eclipse season. So if you're looking to find up-to-date info and some astrology wisdom, look for that on Spotify and iTunes.
Well, too bad you're not a little bit more busy, Well, we wish you a better calendar. That's a lot going on. All right. We will post those links in our show notes. And thank you again, as always, for joining us and just illuminating us and giving us some ideas for how we can be co-creators and manifest with these changes, and always giving us hope. We really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure, as always. It's so much fun to talk about this with you folks. Always a pleasure.
I'm so damn grateful you wandered into Leaping Lizards that day.
Oh my God. You know what? I talk about you all the time. I talk about how we met each other all the time.
We don't know that story.
You don't know that? Oh, I thought we shared that story. I was doing readings at a metaphysical store and Jen came in and that's how we met. and it just was like instant connection, and the doors opened. And if someone had told me then that we would have this amazing situation now, I would have thought, wow, that's interesting thought, but it's amazing.
It was really interesting because I actually went back, of course, and looked at the astrology, and I met you right when Uranus was on my MC, my midheaven. And so what's interesting is that brings in the great teachers. And so, meeting you, Denise, really allowed me, it validated the things that I felt I needed to do and what I wanted to do in this lifetime, but through prior conditioning and judgment felt was just a hobby and didn't bring safety and security. And it was actually during the Scorpio Taurus eclipse cycle, believe it or not, where the attachment to what I'm supposed to be doing versus what my sole purpose is, you really held space for that.
Oh,
Forever grateful for that. Seriously, love you to death.
well, I love you too, and high five to Spirit on opening that door literally and figuratively when you came in that day, because it's impacted a lot of people along the road. So
isn't it wonderful when you just feel that instant connection with someone?
My goodness. Oh yeah. It was so, I actually, I think Denise and I met each other in Freeport, and then she was spending time in Portland, and this was, you're still a school teacher, Denise.
Yes.
And you were doing that. And it was just this instant connection. You're just an amazing human being, Denise. Or spirit dressed as a human.
Well. Well, and that same spirit had me sit down next to Samantha in New Jersey. And so, I mean, I trust when you're being nudged someplace, follow the breadcrumbs, because you're going to meet some amazing, amazing, wonderful people to share your journey with.
Oh my God. I really, at some point, Samantha, I would really love to meet you in person. So hopefully we can manifest that happening where, we can all travel freely and effortlessly and have some wonderful sort of event happen where we all get to serendipitously meet each other.
Oh, well, let's plan on it. I love it. And with some of these cool trends coming up this summer, maybe we can make that happen.
I would love to have that happen.
Well, we wish all of you serendipitous meetings with your own spiritual tribe as well this week. Please remember, as always, to show up, do great work, and share your light.
Take care.